Good morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock on Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. We're here in council chambers for the hearing examiner hearings. I do want to note that this is the first day back from City Hall being closed for a number of days regarding the outfall of Hurricane Milton. So I hope everyone in Cape Coral is safe, and I know there's still some areas that still don't have power. So hope that comes back online quickly. I do have a couple of preliminary comments to make. I'd like to introduce our process. In Cape Coral, the process is a little bit different than the process that is followed in other jurisdictions. In our process, the clerk will read the introduction to the case. The clerk will swear in anyone who is testifying, and then city staff will testify regarding with compliance with public notice. Assuming that public notice has been found, that we will go forward with the case. If public notice has not been found, then another route will be taken. Assuming we go forward, the applicant goes first and is required to present an entire case. City staff goes second and is required to present their entire case. Public comment is next. If you're here for public comment, please make sure that your comments are comprehensive, because once public comment is closed, it will not be reopened. The applicant then responds to questions and makes any final comments. Staff does the same, and then the hearing is concluded. If you have a cell phone with you this morning, please do silence it or turn it off if possible, and take any cell phone conversations outside the room. If you wish to have a private conversation, please move away from the speaker's lectern so we do not accidentally record your conversation. If we do record your conversation, they become public record and available for anyone to review and listen to. If you have comments, please come to the microphone so we can properly record your testimony. No testimony will be taken from anyone's seat. Members of the public are requested to come to the podium at my left, your right. It has the same video and audio capability as the one that is in front of me for the applicants and staff. Anyone who provides testimony other than the applicant and staff is requested to provide a public participation card so we can properly spell your name. And if you wish a copy of the hearing examiner recommendation or order, as the case may be, please provide your email address. However, please also be aware of the fact that we are, once you do provide your email address, it becomes public record and available to anyone to have access to. With those preliminary comments, I'll have one more preliminary comment. We are taking our hearings this morning out of order. We will be taking hearing number 2B as in boy first, and then we will be taking hearing A as in apple second. Madam Clerk, would you please call case number B? Thank you.
Case number RZN 24-000003, address 1211 Pine Lake Drive, applicant Avalon Engineering. The applicant requests a rezone from residential single-family RS1, a Lee County designation, to commercial C for 6 parcels totaling 1.02 acres. The 6 parcels were annexed into the city of Cape Coral in 2023. The future land use of the site was changed to commercial professional CP in 2024. Any persons giving testimony today, if you are able, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, Mr. Boyko.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Examiner. For the record, Chad Boyko, Principal Planner with the city's Planning Division. I'm here to, I believe it was already addressed to you prior to the hearing commencing this morning, but the applicant has stated that they are that they seek to have a continuance for this case due to the sort of the buildup of the storm, and just want to make sure that they had full testimony and that they were able to provide full representation for their client. And they would like to continue this, I believe, until the next hearing examiner meeting, which is the first Wednesday in November.
Prior to doing that, we would need to find proper public notice was given so as to open the hearing. And secondly, I do want to make a off-topic comment. I do want to thank you. I'm sure the citizens of Cape Coral are very grateful to you for the extraordinary work that you and your team did in terms of coping with the, or addressing the FEMA concerns regarding coming out of Hurricane Ian. I'm sure that you worked many, many hours, and I don't know that it's obvious to everyone, but I do want to commend you for your efforts. so.
Well, a couple other individuals in our department put in most of the hours for that, so I will let them know of your gratitude for that. So yes, prior to this case being scheduled and heard this morning, we did have proper notification that was done for this case. We did letters to residents within 500 feet of the subject site. We posted a sign on the property, and then we also placed an ad in the newspaper of local circulation, and all of this was done 10 days prior to the scheduled hearing.
Thank you. I will find the proper notice was given. Can we have the applicant's representative up, please? Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Miller.
Good morning.
I've heard what Mr. Boyko has said. Is that your request today?
Yes, I would like to continue it until November 5th, on Tuesday, the first hearing that you have in the month of November.
And Madam Clerk, do we have availability on November 5th at 9 o'clock?
Yes,
Thank you. We are having hearings that day, in other words.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine, thank you. All right, based upon your request, and of course you have the request to make it as of right, so that's not a problem, and I do acknowledge that, that Hurricane Milton has disrupted all of our lives, especially here in Cape Coral. I will grant your request, a joint request of you and staff, and this hearing is continued for all purposes until Tuesday, November 5th at 9 a.m. here in council chambers.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, folks. All right. Madam Clerk, would you call the next case, please? Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, Mr. Struve.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Examiner. For the record, Mike Struve, Planning Team Coordinator with the Planning Division. The city did notice this particular case, and that included placing an ad in the news press 10 days prior to this hearing date, posting 4 signs on the subject property along each street right of way, and then mailing to all surrounding property owners within 500 feet of the site.
Thank you. I will find the proper notice was given. Before Mr. Mazurkowitz comes up, I did not see him as an authorized rep for this case. Do you have any objection for him fulfilling that role today?
No objection at all.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Mazurkowitz. Do you have a relationship with Insight, or are you authorized by the owner to present today?
Both, Madam Hearing Examiner Joe Mazurkowitz, President of BGM Consulting, here on behalf of both the owner and the applicant. We have representations of the owner here, Cape Christian, if you want to have their come up and say it's okay for me to represent them?
No, that's fine. I'm assuming Insight got flooded out in Hurricane Milton. They're pretty close to the river, so I don't have any objection. I just wanted to put that on the record.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Examiner. First of all, based on my previous testimony and my previously submitted CV, I ask to be considered recognized as an expert witness.
I will recognize you as an expert witness for purposes of this hearing based upon your CV, which previously has been presented, and also based upon your credentials, which you articulated in prior hearings regarding issues that are similar to the issues we're addressing today. Thank you.
All right, Madam Hearing Examiner, we're here today to request an extension of PDP 24-000002, Cape Christian. The property is located on Chiquita, just north of Veterans Parkway. It's just shy of 14 acres. It's located at 2110 Chiquita Boulevard. The initial PD was approved in May of 1999, subsequently amended in 2013. This presently is a request to extend the PDP to allow for additional time for campus build-out. Criteria, as actually was read into the record already, Land Development Code Section 3.4.8 G3, G3, to the date in which substantial construction or the project build-out date is scheduled to expire has not lapsed at the time of complete application. In the event the application is submitted after the date of the substantial construction of project build-out has lapsed, approval by the City Council shall be required. That's why we're here today. This project is not in violation of any of the conditions of approval appearing in the development order. The PDP expiration occurred on April 29th, 2023. The applicant is requesting this PDP extension be approved by City Council consistent with A, which is above. This PDP, consistent with conditions of approval, is outlined in Ordinance 2113, which allow for 460-seat worship building and a 10,078 square foot office building, 2,995 square foot of food service building, an outdoor children's recreation area, and several covered pavilions. Condition A1s remain applicable, and the project is consistent with these conditions.
I think it's A through I.
A through I, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And the project is consistent with these conditions. Madam Hearing Examiner, there have been many things that have occurred during the construction of this project or the term of this build-out on this project that impacted the ability to do it within the initial 10 years. We've had 4 hurricanes. We've had COVID-19 pandemic. It's been major things that have pushed this down, and we are ready to finish this project as presented in the original PDP. We have a site plan in the city right now for review, so we believe that we will be able to complete it within the extended period of time requested. We respectfully request that you recommend approval for the extension of the PDP.
Have you had an opportunity to review the staff report?
Yes, we did, and we did review the staff report, and at this time, we'd like to make it part of our presentation.
Thank you. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Examiner. Again, for the record, Mike Strivey, Planning Team Coordinator with the Planning Division. And for the purposes of this hearing this morning, I would like to be recognized as an expert in the area of land use planning based on my credentials on file with the City Clerk's Office and based on my past testimony before you on similar matters.
I will find you as an expert regarding matters that are before us today in this hearing based upon your CV, which is on file with the clerk's office, and also based upon your testimony regarding issues similar to the issues before us today in prior hearings. Thank you.
Thank you. This particular project involves an amendment to an existing PDP. It's filed by Cape Christian Fellowship Incorporated. You've already heard from Mr. Mazurkowitz, who is representing the church on this particular project. And the applicant, or owner in this case, is requesting a PDP amendment simply to extend the project build-out date that previously expired under a previous ordinance, that was 2113, to allow further construction to occur on the site that had previously been approved by the City Council. This particular property is located at 2110 Chiquita Boulevard. Area of the site is just a little under 14 acres. This is an aerial of the church site and surrounding properties. If you look at existing land uses on the ground, the site is surrounded by single-family homes to the south and to the west. Directly to the east are mainly a number of duplexes, along with a city fire station. Then further to the southeast, actually, is an assisted living facility. So sort of a mix of residential and non-residential uses. The subject property has a public facilities future land use classification. The site has single-family residential zoning, as do all properties to the west of Chiquita Boulevard. To the east of Chiquita Boulevard, there is a mix of single-family residential zoning, RML zoning indicated in the brown, and commercial zoning indicated in the red. A little bit of background in terms of the history of the church. Cape Christian Fellowship Church was approved by PDP back in 1999. Entitlements that were granted at that time included special exception uses for a place of worship use and for a child care facility. There were portions of several streets that were vacated to help enlarge and unify the site in which the church was eventually constructed. And then there were also a couple of deviations granted for spacing, driveway spacing requirements along Chiquita Boulevard to allow actually median spacing requirements to be a little bit closer than what the city standards would otherwise dictate. The project was amended in 2113, and there was a special exception granted for a religious facility use, a deviation to allow for synthetic turf to occur on the site, and also approval of a development plan at that time. I might also add that the project was given a new build-out date at that time, 10 years from the date of approval of 2113.
I was surprised to see the synthetic turf deviation. I wasn't aware the city did that sort of stuff. I mean,
Yes.
it's granted, I'm not saying it's improper, I was just surprised to see it.
Yeah, deviations under the old PDP system, if you will, could be sought for the vast majority of at that time, land use and development relaxations, if you will. As I mentioned, the previous PDP ordinance 2113 granted a 10-year build-out date, and that build-out date expired, and that's why we're here this morning. It actually expired on April 29th, 2023. A new build-out date is therefore required to allow additional construction on the site, even construction that was previously authorized by the City Council. And there are several improvements that were previously approved that have not been constructed on the site yet, and though this is not an exhaustive list, but those improvements include a new worship building, office building, smaller maintenance building, parking areas, and a variety of recreational amenities. These are several photos of the Cape Christian Fellowship Church site. It very much has the feel of a campus. You'll notice that there is consistency in architecture between the two buildings shown here on this particular slide. There are a variety of streetscaped areas that include a fountain that's pictured here, a splash pad that is not pictured here, and then a variety of outdoor sitting areas as well. In terms of the Land Development Code, there are two general requirements that are reviewed to allow an applicant to file a PDP amendment in this particular type of case. One is ownership, and the Cape Christian Fellowship Incorporated owns 100% of the property, so that requirement is met. And then the second requirement is some type of justification in terms of why the project has not moved forward as originally envisioned. And in this case, as Mr. Mazurkowitz has mentioned, the applicant has provided reasons for extending the build-out date that include but are not limited to COVID-19 and also to Hurricane Ian, which currently is, we're still under an extension of the emergency declaration that was signed by the governor now a little over 2 years ago. There are two review criteria and standards in our Land Development Code that we use for evaluating this request. The first here says the date at which substantial construction or the project build-out date is scheduled to expire has not lapsed at the time of a complete application. So I'm just going to stop there for a second. That would involve situations where an applicant is running up against their build-out date. They file a PDP amendment, and that can be reviewed administratively, does not require a hearing. What is germane in this case is the second sentence. In the event the application is submitted after the date of substantial construction or project build-out has elapsed, approval by the City Council shall be required. So in this case, the project build-out date has lapsed. That's why we're here at this meeting, or hearing, I should say, today, looking for a recommendation to carry forward to the City Council, and the City Council will ultimately review this request. So this standard has been met. And then secondly, the second standard is the project is not in violation with any conditions of approval appearing in the development order. We've reviewed both development orders. The project has been, is consistent, or there are no violations of any condition appearing in either development order. We did have a question about a lighting standard that appeared in Ordinance 2113 that ironically we're going to recommend later be rescinded, and I'll get into that in a moment. We did have the developer, as a result, provide a lighting plan, and they showed that the site is in compliance with that particular provision in Ordinance 2113. So this particular standard has been met as well. In Section 4H of Ordinance 2113, there is this provision near the end of the order that says the physical development authorized under this development order shall terminate in 10 years from the date of adoption of this development order unless an extension is approved by this council. The council may grant an extension if the project has been developing substantially in conformance with the original plans and approved conditions. So staff, in order to evaluate whether the project had been developing substantially in conformance with approved plans, looked at a plan that was submitted by the applicant back in 2012 and compared that to an as-built survey that was not prepared this year, but fairly recently. And we find that those two plans track one another pretty well. Both of this information should be in your backup material. The image that appears on the left-hand side of the screen was the development plan that was adopted in 2012. And then on the right-hand side, an as-built survey that was produced much more recently in 2020. And you can see that the stormwater area, the general areas where parking is going to be provided, access points, and then several of the main buildings track very well between the two plans. There are some improvements shown on the 2012 plans that do not appear on the as-built survey, and those were buildings that were approved for construction by the City Council but have not yet been constructed. And we've highlighted several of those here on this particular slide. And the largest of those, which is located along the western property boundary, is a new worship center. At the northeast corner, an office building, and then south of the worship center, the smallest of the buildings is a maintenance building. Issuing or approving a new build-out period for this particular project does not require that the church would move ahead with construction on any one of these buildings, but it would allow them the opportunity as funds and as time allows for them to finish construction in all three. We also looked at whether or not this project was consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, policy 1.15, table 1. This is a table that shows that the R1 zoning district is consistent with the public facilities, future land use classification of the site. And then policy 1.15H, which is language that governs the public facilities future land use classification. And this particular policy explicitly mentions religious establishments as a use that's allowed in the public facilities future land use classification. So certainly this particular policy is consistent with the project as well. We are recommending approval of this extension with conditions. We have received one phone call just from one person living south of the project that wanted more information about the project. And I just wanted to briefly go over a couple of the recommended conditions that we believe will likely appear in the ordinance that goes before the City Council when that is scheduled. The first is all provisions and conditions contained in the Cape Christian Fellowship PDP as approved by Ordinance 2299 and amended by Ordinance 2113 shall remain in full force and effect, except as otherwise stated in this development order. The failure to repeat a provision or condition shall not be interpreted as an intention to delete or alter such provision or condition. So this is fairly standard language, and it just means unless we take an active step to eliminate a condition, all the other conditions continue to have life and move or travel with the project forward in time. The second condition actually involves a condition we're recommending be rescinded. And that is condition number 2 appearing within the general consideration section of Ordinance 2113 is hereby rescinded, and the developer shall comply with all applicable lighting standards that appear in the LDC as amended. There was a lighting provision appearing in Ordinance 2113. We now have lighting standards in our LDC, and we would prefer that the project moving forward be regulated by those particular provisions. It's just a lot easier to track rather than trying to remember for other reviewers that, oh, we better check the development order to see what that development order says about lighting, if anything. And then thirdly, the physical development authorized under this development order shall terminate in 10 years from the date of adoption of this PDP amendment. Approval of this extension by the City Council shall not prohibit the developer from requesting any additional future extensions to the project that the developer may be entitled to seek. And that would include future extensions requested from the City Council, and it would certainly also include potential future extensions that might be authorized under Florida statutes when it comes to emergency declarations. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll stand by in case you have any questions.
If City Council were not to approve this request, what would happen?
If they were not to approve this request, that's a good question. I think in that case, there might be an effort on part of the applicant to abandon potentially their PDP, and then to seek entitlements under the Land Development Code. And I see our city attorney looking at me. If he has another or a different thought on that, I'd certainly like to hear it.
No, I just would
Can you
echo
identify
this.
yourself for the record, please?
Sure. Cody Vaughn Birch, Assistant City Attorney.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just echoing those comments that yes, the applicant would have other alternatives to pursue regarding the PDP, such as abandonment.
Okay, that's all right, thank you. I'm not sure that advances us, but I'll ask the applicant the same question. All right, thank you very much. I have no other questions. This is a public hearing. Are there members of the public who wish to provide input or testimony? Excuse me, seeing none. Excuse me, I'll bring it back to the applicant's representative, Mr. Mazurkowitz. Could I have you up, please, sir? Thank you. Did you want to address the same question?
Yeah, I would concur, Madam Hearing Examiner, we would go back through and, as part of a new development plan, abandon the existing PDP and establish a new PUD.
Okay, thank you.
We also want to thank staff for their presentation included in as part of our presentation, and also for the record, recognize the fact that we agree with the conditions as laid out by staff.
Thank you. So you're okay with the rescission of condition 2?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you wish to incorporate staff testimony into your testimony today?
Excuse me?
Do you wish, I'm imitating how quickly you speak, Mr. Mazurkowitz. Let me slow down. Do you wish to incorporate staff's testimony into your testimony
Yes, ma'am.
today? All right, thank you very much. No other questions. I will recommend that it go forward as requested by the applicant's representative and the applicant and the owner. I will attempt to get my recommendation out as quickly as possible. I'm sure that the Fellowship Church is interested in moving forward as quickly as possible, so I will assist in that process as best I can. Thank you very much. All right, closing the hearing at this time. Our next hearing is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 at 9 a.m. in council chambers. We stand adjourned at 9:32. Thank you, everyone.